welcome back to another S2000 show. Feel like that's all I ever put on the channel, but this car is from a previous build. We actually did a little bit of work on this. If you look through the videos, you'll recognize this, but the clutch is awful on this. Right now, it's almost like an on-off switch. Imagine taking the clutch pedal out and putting a little micro switch on the floor. That's what the clutch feels like. It's either press the button, the car sits there stationary, release the button, car goes. There's like no in-between, there's no modulating the clutch. It feels awful. Hardly any in-between feel between go or no-go. So clutch is going to come out. We'll show you what it is. Everything else on the car is good. He said the car runs flawlessly. Went on a S2000 meet, met with a whole bunch of cool guys, had some fun, enjoyed the car, enjoyed hanging out with car guys, which is what it's about. Unfortunately, right now, can't do that as much. We're obviously doing the social distancing here, and it feels awkward because you feel like you're alienating your customers, but we do have to insist on putting our chain up. If anybody does come anywhere near the shop, we are bleaching door handles, we're washing our hands, obviously. We're doing the sanitizing, trying not to touch any part of the car. We don't want to spread anything. We don't want what somebody else has. And if we have something, we don't want to spread it either. So we are doing our best to stay clean and sanitized here. You guys know how to release the shift knob. There is a 14 right under the boot here. You're going to put your wrench on here and turn the knob the opposite way, and then the knob will come off here. Put your fingers under it so you don't drop that knob onto the interior plastics and damage anything. You don't want to scratch this, and you don't want to scratch the interior plastics here. There is always scratches on here. You never want to put a scratch on that the car never had. That's just one of those things that is a pet peeve to me when I look at the interior of a car. Even if it's a brand new car, you sit here and you look down and you look at a scratch and you think to yourself, how did that happen? How did someone put a scratch here? Of course, this car has, you know, a few miles on it. It's not a brand new car, but when you see that, you ever thought about that? How did you scratch it there? You look at someone's dash and you'll see a big scratch here. How did you scratch that? So this is what it looks like when it's removed. These are the two plugs that you're going to unplug. This is the retainer ring that has the dust boot and isolator in here. This should be clipped down, but as you see, it's not. It's all come apart. This plastic ring should be attached to the rubber, and it's not in bad shape. There's a couple of tabs broken, but that should be attached to this rubber and hold it down. I was going to show you how to remove it properly, but considering it wasn't put back, I can't show you that. But this, just pry this up over here, don't stretch it too much, little at a time, and bring that off. But that is to obviously keep the sound from the engine and the road, and of course the moisture coming up into the cabin. But this here, this ring should fit. You see the cutouts over here. It should fit in here, and then those 4 little slotted holes there, that clips into there. So we'll check this out, we'll clean it. If it doesn't go back together, we do have new boots and retainer clips in stock that we can replace that with. So these we keep in stock. I'm going to show you the part number just so you can get them too if this is something you want to do without taking your clutch apart. It's super duper easy install. We've shown this on a past video, but this is the foam ring that isolates that shifter area. Shifter is coming up through here. This is isolating. This is basically cut down some of the sound from the engine, the transmission, the road noise. This is another thing that isolates that sound. It gets mushy, as you just saw. It turns to almost looks like clay. If you saw that episode where I give Esther a pile of this sponge and she basically molded it and it ended up looking like a snowman. So that's the part number for that. The retainer ring, the rubber I'm going to clean up. We can reuse that. It's not tore, but these clips here, it should look like that. It should have the tab with the middle piece. When it's broken out like that, somebody's pried it out. It's not going to stay back in. We have the rings in stock. In fact, we have 2 of them. I'm going to go ahead and replace that. This stuff is fairly cheap, and it's stuff that you can do on your own without taking it apart. This thing's about $5. This thing's about 30, something like that. But we're going to go ahead and replace these. It's not a big additional expense, but this is the type of stuff that the customer wants, and that's why they bring this kind of thing to us, because we're going to do every little thing that needs to be done. I'll go ahead and wash this up with some degreaser, and it should look like brand new. So there's a million ways to clean this. I'm going to use a little bit of degreaser. It's like a really heavy duty soap, but a little bit of Scotch-Brite. Sit and soak it, give this a quick scrub, and it should come out, look like brand new. This is one of those little things that I do when I work on my car, and sometimes it's overkill and it's OCD, is whatever you want to call it, but it's that it kind of connects you with the car. I know it sounds bizarre, it really does. I sometimes watch my videos and I go, what the heck is that guy talking about? And it's me, I think this way. But when you're into your car, it's like detailing it. Nobody knows that you take your wheels off and clean the backside of the wheel, you know, clean your caliper and you know, get on all the little suspension components, you know, get a rag and some WD-40 and clean everything up, clean the bolts. It's not needed. Most people are not going to notice it, but it's almost therapeutic, and you see a difference. It's like a before and after, and whatever it is, whether it's a car or a motorcycle, or you know, some people are into building, you know, modifying their house. Same kind of thing. It's just the details. It just makes the difference. So this, you can use soap. I've got some Dawn dish soap here. I often use that. Just soak it. Put some Dawn on there. Right here, look. It's just heavy duty dish soap. It's not going to hurt you. Somebody's going to tell me, hey, you should be wearing gloves. I've been doing this since I was like 8 years old. So whatever is on my skin and in my body, it's in there. At this point, it is what it is. You know, we're worried about using all these chemicals and products. Now we've got this stupid virus everybody's got. It's like, anyway, but again, see how that comes up. Just soak it, give it a quick rinse, and then dry it, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, nice and clean now. Let's kill this light behind me. So here's a ring. Here's a new ring compared to the old one. You see where the tabs are broken on this one. There's 2 tabs broken. It won't stay in there. This is the middle section, which is the part that you've got to access with a screwdriver to get it to come out. But put this back in there, put it back in your rubber boot. Make sure these come through the holes right there. Just be careful that you don't break those off. Just kind of feed them through there. It's super easy. I'm just telling you not to break them, because I've seen some people work on cars. They're just a little bit too rough. But see, now we've got that. Looks pretty easy. And again, this ring's like $5. The rubber boot will almost always clean up. Just take your time, use some soap and water and scrub it. And now we have a nice retainer and boot. So we have in a separate video about our clutch kit. It looks like these bolts might have been replaced, but this is the dry shaft bolts. The 2000 to 2003 are the really soft bolts, and the hex head is very shallow. Usually when you remove it, you trash the bolt. That's if you can get it out. Well, somebody has been in here. There's yellow, and then there is an extra mark on there, so somebody has been in it. Also marked the drive shaft, so they know which way the drive shaft goes back. Looks like they've took those bolts out too, so that's interesting. But part of our clutch kit, even if somebody said, hey, I just put brand new bolts in there, you're getting our bolts. I know our bolts are the best. They're a much harder bolt. We're going to replace it. It comes part of our kit. Also, we talked about the rubber boot that goes over here, gets trashed. It covers that. That thing is all deformed and kind of trashed too. You see that? Let me get it to focus. See, that shape is all gone. It's all yucky looking. That's part of our service too, is you're getting a new boot, you're getting all new grease. Quick telltale sign, who knows what that is. It's a black clutch. It's black. It's a mean, strong clutch. Probably has no name on it. We'll see that when we get it out. We'll see what's going on, but I'm sure it's a really fine, high quality piece. So that's another part of our service. You've seen it in our videos. Let us keep showing it just for the people who haven't seen it, and to let you know one of the reasons we recommend changing all this while it's apart. All right, transmission is off. you've seen enough of our videos. Hopefully I'm educating you on this stuff and you're getting to know what to look for. This is the slide that is notorious for being wore. Your bearing is riding on that. Once it gets dry and it gets a groove in that, it just exponentially gets worse. Clutch, who knows what brand that is. It's painted black. Everyone seems to have their own favorite color of clutch. I know clutch masters seem to like white, ACT of yellow, Center Force had like an orangey red. I don't know what this one is, but let's... That's perfect. Is it? Oh, that's right. Well, let's take this thing off and we'll see. Looks like the flywheel had been resurfaced. It should be an AP1 flywheel, this being a 2000 to 2003. And we'll take a look at that bearing too. We'll see what brand that bearing is and we'll find out how bad it is. It's super dry in there. There's a whole bunch of clutch material everywhere. That's what it looks like. It's got a couple of chunks broken off.
Got a picture of a clutch on it.
Let's just remind you what this piece is. So this is a 6-puck ceramic disc. There's 2 broken parts there on this side, and then this side there's a big chunk off it. Didn't look like it really damaged it. These just have terrible engagement. Any word on the bearing yet?
Niche.
Gotta love that. I'll give you props to that one.
That's the only reason it's still working.
Yeah, that's, if these fall apart, the clutch is toast. It doesn't matter whose clutch you buy.
Yeah.
When this one falls apart.
There's a little seal in here, and it'll come out, and it goes in between here and there, and doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, toast your clutch. Put the best possible clutch in. When this thing fails, the whole thing fails. Beveled edge on here. It's been machined. They've had this surface machine and this surface machine, but it's got this taper piece here. Actually, no, it's just where the disc is in contact in. That's interesting. I'm going to measure the disc, but you can see what they have to do to machine this. By the way, this is a step. There is a difference between this height and this height. The idea is when the pressure plate is bolted down here, this needs to be the correct distance so it engages and disengages the right amount. If this is too low, it won't disengage, or it won't engage properly. It won't actually bite. If it's too high, it won't disengage. So you can see where this surface was cut and this surface was cut, and the disc isn't touching this area at all. It looks like it's tapered or it's rolled off. It's not. It's just not touching it. The disc is only using like 90% of the friction surface here. And all that, it is a AP2 flywheel, which is the super heavy. You can see how thick this edge is. It's usually a telltale sign that it's an AP2 when it's got the thicker edge. This thing weighs a ton. Drivability, it is a little easier with this. It's a little bit more forgiving, but revving the engine obviously doesn't respond quite as fast. Again, it just needs a surface, but you can see where the disc isn't contacting that surface at all. When the disc is on here, which is centered right about there, you can see the edge of this disc isn't making contact with this. It's actually interesting to see that. I want to put the Clutch Masters disc on here and see how much surface contact there is. On a side note, I don't have the ability or the means or the backing, but I would like to design a whole new clutch for the S2000 based on what I've seen on other cars. The Corvette ZR1, the C6, that clutch will hold 800 horsepower and it feels like a factory S2000 clutch. Well, how do they have that clutch hold so much power? Well, one, it is a twin disc from the factory, but the surface contact here, this is the friction surface. Imagine this is spinning on the engine, this side of it is connected to the transmission. Well, you're trying to get that to grip to this, which it has obviously the pressure plate you're pushing on here to get clamping surface. Well, if this pressure friction surface was, say, 50% wider, you'd have 50% more clamping load on here. You can't go too big because of course you need to relieve the temperature. It has to dissipate. Well, if this was a whole entire friction surface, you wouldn't get the heat out of it. So if this was, in my opinion, if this was all moved out towards the outside, you'd have more leverage here. If we could bring this sealing surface out, say another 1/4 of an inch because of the outer diameter, you'd probably get another 50% clamping load on here. It'd be a stronger clutch without needing a massive pressure plate. But that's a story for another day. All right, this is just an overview. If you buy a clutch kit from us or get a clutch installed by us on your S2000, this is what you are going to receive. This is the only grease to use. It's the Honda genuine high temp, super high temp grease. 2000, 2003, you are going to get the hardened Allen bolts, which is for the drive shaft. These are harder. They have the deep socket. These are actually 12.9, by the way. The rubber boot, as you see, we've shown you, it gets all distorted, it dry rots. This usually breaks and pieces go inside the bell housing. The guide, we call it a slide, but Honda call it a guide. You can see how distorted this gets. You see the indentation in this here. This is the part that the release bearing rides on. The engine main seal, again, it's just because over time this does get kind of dry rotted. We're just doing this as a full precaution. We're doing the engine main seal, the transmission main seal, and of course every clutch gets the Nietzsche bearing. If you order it from Honda, if you walk into your Honda dealership and say, I want a release bearing for your 2000 S2000, 2008 S2000, this is the bearing you're going to get. Comes in a Honda box, but Nietzsche make it. Same with the bearing. There's a few different bearings that Honda have used. We've found NSK, Nietzsche, and there is another brand, but they are a good bearing. This doesn't have as much stress as this, and obviously if this goes bad, it makes a noise. If this goes bad, it destroys your whole clutch. This is the FX300. If you buy the OEM clutch from us, everything stays the same except these two components are going to be the factory Honda disc and the factory Honda pressure plate. They're not XZT parts, they're not aftermarket, they're genuine Honda parts with Honda part numbers, come from Honda direct. So this is just kind of a quick overview of our clutch kit. This showed you earlier and this was showed you earlier, but this is what you will be receiving. The lower bolts here, if I can get it to focus, these go in the two holes here. Make sure you put some anti-seize on there, or space grease as we call it, because the back side of the hole is exposed here. You see that? This is looking from the front of the car, so this gets all the crud, the water, the salt, whatever, and these bolts will give you problems coming out in the event you ever need to take it apart. So a little bit of anti-seize will help that in the future. What I'll do is remove the fill first. The reason we do that, if you remove the drain and lose all the fluid, and for some reason this is either damaged, cross-threaded, the hex is rounded off, you can't put fluid back in it. Now you can't drive the car to come up with an option. If you remove this first and find out there is a problem, at least you got fluid in there. You can still drive the car and come up with a solution. So break it loose and then break your drain loose and remove it. Another reason to leave the fill in until last, this won't come out as fast because it's causing somewhat of a vacuum in here. If you remove this first, this will obviously come out much faster. This doesn't look horrible, but it does smell like regular engine oil, which is not what is supposed to be in the transmission. It should be transmission fluid. Honda has a dedicated fluid that they want you to use, which is what we're going to put back in it. But that doesn't look like transmission fluid. Looks a little bit too thick, and it definitely smells a little odd. Alright, so this is the fluid. It's the genuine Honda fluid. Look, it even says right there, Honda genuine. But this is the transmission fluid you want to use. We use this in all of our cars. Unless somebody asks for the Royal Purple, we did a video kind of doing a comparison between different fluids, and we use the Royal Purple, which we have had really good luck with. But if somebody doesn't ask for that and say that they're having a little bit of notchiness in their transmission, we stick with this right here. Alright, so this is what the shifter looks like when you remove it. these parts, when we do a shifter rebuild, these are the parts that we replace. This here, I call it the cage, and this here is the ball. These are replaceable. You can buy those from Honda. We take this apart, clean this, and replace these two parts and re-grease it. We're not going to replace these parts. We're not doing a shifter rebuild, but just while it's out, I like to take them apart, clean them really good. This grease here, who knows what it is, but it gets kind of sticky, and it's kind of like engine oil. Fresh grease is slicker than old grease. You know, this feels kind of, it's kind of like glue. So by cleaning all of this and putting nice fresh Honda Aurora grease in there, the shifter will make a noticeable difference. And it's one of those things that we don't even really advertise to the customer, hey, what did you clutch and re-grease your shifter? But it feels better, it's noticeable, it's something that they know that you've done something, and it generally feels better. It's kind of like, it's the TLC that we put into it. It's greasing, you know, the hinge on the door of the driver's side so it opens and closes nicer. You don't have to tell the customer, but he knows you've done something, and it's just better. And that's sometimes all it takes. This rubber, make sure it goes back the right way. You see it's got the tab on the front there. Make sure it goes on the front. So this, you're going to wrap the back side around that flange. Same on this side, same on this side. And then if you put it into fourth gear, you can push the front down and it will clip down there for you. Alright, so shifter is in. The foam that gets funky, I want to show you here. This stuff is gross. It turns like a sludge. I want to pull this out and put a clip here of a bunch of this when I gave it to Esther, and kind of made a bit of a joke and said, hey, see if you can mold this stuff. But look how yucky it is. So this is what it looks like. Look at that. That used to be sponge. So I'll wash my hands and we'll go ahead and install this in the car. So whenever you deal with older cars, you ever see the black stuff that comes out the vents, you'll see it kind of comes out in little bits and pieces. It's the same kind of material as this. Over time it breaks down and it turns into kind of like a mush. But that's just sometimes dealing with older stuff. But luckily this is available and it fits back in this way. It's going to sit in there that direction and it's nice and sponge. You know, it's just like a car wash sponge right now. So go ahead and squish it in there and make sure it sits straight up and down. Just, you know, kind of massage it in there so it fits straight and it does its job. It's going to obviously make the interior a little quiet, which every little bit helps, because S2000s are noisy being a convertible already. So there we go, we put the console. So there it is. We can go ahead and put our other dust cover in there that we replaced the retaining ring with. Super easy to put on. You see the 4 tabs here. It's going to line up with the 4 slotted holes there. This little arrow right here, can you see that? That corresponds with that slot. So that's how you're going to help line it up here. But you're going to push this down, just kind of roll that around it first, and it will fit in there for you, and slide that down. Line up those little arrows there, put the car in neutral, and you should be able to just snap those down. You hear them click. See that? There. And then make sure that's relaxed. Run it back and forth, just make sure this isn't pushing anywhere, because if it's pushed one way, it'll make the transmission feel easier one way than the other. But now it's centered, and it will make a little bit of difference. It's nice and tight, see that? You're going to screw the knob back on. Now if you screw it all the way and it goes past, see, like right there, it's past being straight. We get it to focus. You're going to go back until it is straight, and then you're going to lock the lower nut to hold that shifter perfect. You want the numbers to be right way around. So the fluid was exceptionally dark on this one. This is usually an extra service that we charge for. We'll do a clutch flush and a brake flush together. But just for content and just so I could share it with you, we went ahead and flushed this and put clean fluid in. This is essentially kind of like a clutch cable. This is your fluid that is operating the slave cylinder. So if this is as clean as it can be, it will help the clutch maintain that nice smooth travel. It is noticeable in the pedal from dirty fluid to clean. So something I want to show you, we've never done this before.
I really like how you said that.
Which part?
The cable part, because it is just like a cable. It's like a fluid cable.
It is, yeah.
And when the fluid's dirty and gritty, you can feel it in the pedal.
Yeah.
When we flush these and I'm pumping it, I can feel it get better.
I've noticed you say that, and I've got a car where it came in rough and left rough, and I can feel a big difference, but I put most of it down to the release bearing.
Yeah.
But that is true. You've actually said that. As I'm bleeding this and pumping fluid through, you'll say, oh, I can feel it. It's getting better.
Yeah,
it's getting smoother.
The ones that are bad with the really dark fluid, you feel the grit going through, and then once it's all clear fluid, you can feel it get smoother.
You feel it get smoother. Okay, coin that phrase. It is a fluid cable. Don't tell anybody. Everyone will start calling it that. You're going to change your fluid cable.
Yeah.
So, real quick, we're going to show something that we've never shown in the past. This is what I would call our very, very preliminary... Yeah, I've got long legs. So this is what is the very first part of the clutch break-in. Well, you've seen us break in clutches, and then we'll break them in on our dyno. Having the least amount of load on the wheels puts the least amount of stress on the clutch. Our dyno is the 224C, which means it has the smaller rollers. People have mentioned in the past, hey, I can't believe you put a clutch in and dyno it. We don't. We do a long break-in procedure, but our dyno has a lot less rotational mass, so there's less strain on the dyno, on the wheels.
We also don't have an eddy brake.
We don't.
If we had an eddy brake, we'd put a little more stress on it, but we don't have one.
Well, we don't need to.
No.
Our system works so well. But this is what we would do the first time. George's going to go ahead and start it, and he's going to run it through the gears and just lightly operate the clutch just to make sure the clutch works properly, it engages and disengages, and it does like an initial break-in before we put any load on it. We're just using the load of the wheels. So first off, clutch in, make sure it does engage, make sure the gear shift does go nice and smooth, and then also this sometimes requires adjustment. This is something that your installer should do, but make sure it disengages somewhere in the middle. You don't want it right off the floor. You don't want it right on the top. Can you feel that?
You hold the brake too. You can feel where it starts to feel the engine.
So about halfway is where you want it. That way you've got half disengage, half engage. So by doing this, just releasing the clutch, engaging, disengaging it, it's doing kind of a very, very early break-in. This is just being extra cautious. You don't need to do this. Realistically, you put the clutch in, go drive it. This is something we do on every car. That's right, world's first, guys. You've never seen us do this. This is just extra OCD. This is before we even break them in on the dyno. You see this? All we're doing is engaging and disengaging the clutch. You can hear the engine change. It's doing a very, very preliminary break-in. Again, it's absolutely not necessary, but I think it is. So that's what happens. So we will do this. We'll do this a handful of times until we're happy. Put about a mile on it doing this, believe it or not. And then we'll put it on the ground and drive it, make sure it engages smooth, make sure there's no chatter, make sure it's adjusted correctly. Again, you're welcome. Somebody's going to say, hey, you don't need to do that. Absolutely, you don't. You don't need to do anything. Just do it because you want to, right? All right, remove the chain. George can go take this for a quick drive. Just make sure it is happy. As you see, it's creeping backwards right now. See that? Barely touching the clutch, just creeping along. Again, it's a bit more of the break-in. As much preliminary break-in you can get, the smoother, the softer the clutch will be, the better it will hold, the more clamping load it'll have, and the least heat in that clutch as you can while you're breaking it in. But we don't drive these any more than we have to. This is our complex. This is what it does, drive it to the end of the complex, go down the end, make a turn, come back. That'll tell us all we need to know about the clutch. So far, I feel good.
Yep.
Yeah, this had like no feel at all this morning when I drove it. It was like no feel. So here it is. I should feel night and day. How is it? Good? Awesome. Beautiful car. This is as exciting for us as it is for the customer. I say that, and I know I sound like a broken record. I know some people are gonna say you're putting on an act. This is exciting. When you do something for somebody, it's like getting somebody a perfect gift for Christmas. It makes you feel good doing this. You give it to the customer, they get it back, and they go, wow, it feels fantastic. That is sometimes the reward in itself. Of course, we've got to get paid, because we've got to pay each other and pay the building and all that good stuff. But to do that when the customer gets it back and he's super happy with it, that makes all the difference. This was officially a clutch video. There's George. There's me. We'll see you on the next video. Don't forget, hit the subscribe. And look out for this guy.
Please hit the subscribe. I know you're watching and not doing it. Just do it.
Yeah,
right?
hit the subscribe on the way out. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us, helps other people find us, helps YouTube suggest our videos to other people, helps us grow. Every vote counts. Give us your vote, America. Vote here.
Rock the vote.